Thanks for joining School of the American Rifle. As you can see, I'm here in the shop packing up some orders, about to hit the post office, and wanted to share an interesting story with you. I apologize for my cracky voice, sinus infection, weather's changing, always wreaks havoc on me. Enough about me not feeling well, but as you can see, right there we have the Ruger rifles from the Secret Shopper series that I talked about doing. And been getting a lot of people asking, like, when are you going to do this? I apologize, it's been so long, but the story ties into this. So I started with the Rugers. After we do those, we're going to move the Smith & Wesson, and then Springfield Armory, and LWRC. Why am I going to do those first? I'm going to be fair about them, but we started these because they have a policy at this particular manufacturers that you can only become a certified armor if you are military or law enforcement. And I got a bunch of flack for making a video, making some posts about this. People were accusing me of being butthurt about not being able to take a class. I'm a perpetual student. I want to take classes because I like to learn things. There's some of the certs on the wall. Some people will tell me, well, what do you have to learn from this classes? Well, the truth of the answer is I don't know. I don't know what I don't know. So if I can't take a class, how do I know if I have something to learn or not? So some people claim that the armor's class is restricted to those things because they have limited manpower, and having those policies allows them to fill the bare minimum, which is those particular fields. My position is that these particular brands, the bulk of their sales go towards the civilian side, not law enforcement, not military side, however you want to call that. And I think it would be wise for them to allow at least their stocking dealers or armors or gunsmiths or aspiring armors or aspiring gunsmiths to take their training, because knowledge is a good thing. Knowing about how Smith & Wesson or Ruger or Springfield Armory does what they do and how they want you to fix the guns, maintain the guns, is a good thing. So this story has to do with 3 law enforcement agencies reaching out to me. 3 separate agencies. They all are using Smith & Wesson M&P 15 rifles. I can't tell you if they're the Model 2s or the Sports. I didn't get all those details. But these 3 separate agencies, different parts of the country, reached out asking me if I could help them with some department rifles they're having issues with. Now, these particular Smith & Wesson M&Ps, in the past, I've seen problems with that model, and this is not across the board, so don't assume that I'm making a blanket statement. Regardless of how they feel about me talking about the armors classes, I try to be fair with people. So these rifles are exhibiting feed stoppages, so the rounds are getting stuck as they're coming up the feed ramps. And in my experience, there's sort of 3 common problems with feeding or chambering issues with the M&P rifles. One of the issues is the magazine catch in the lower receiver can be drilled in the wrong location, and that allows the magazine to sit at a non-optimal position, and it causes the bolt carrier to bind on the magazine as the gun's trying to cycle and eject ammunition or come home and feed ammunition. So that's one problem, and that is really the fix is replacing the lower receiver. But I know how to identify that. I basically have a gauge that I created to look for it, and I'm gauging, whatever. But that's one issue. The other issue can be, and this is more of a chambering issue, short headspace, out of spec bolt or carrier. That's not really related to these particular problems. Another issue can be a weak, underpowered, worn action or buffer spring. And the last thing is the feed ramps. This is the most common thing. So Colt and FN, they do a modification to the little cutouts for both left and right feed ramps, right where the little square cutouts are for the lugs to pass through the extension. And they do that on all of their commercial sales guns for the most part, because the ammunition that we use, the ammunition that law enforcement agencies use, the ammunition that hunters use, often has a softer jacket material, because the ammunition is sometimes designed to expand into a target, and that softer jacket material will bind up on those sharper cutouts on the feed ramps as it's feeding from the magazine. And Colt and FN, they do a relieving of those square cutouts. FN does it before they parkerize the extension, and Colt does it after the extension's been mounted. So they look a little different, but they perform the same task. They're basically trying to deburr the square cutouts so softer jacket ammunition feeds up the ramp. So I know exactly what the potential problem is for these guns based on the way they're describing them, the malfunctions, the stoppages. But guess what? I can't help them because I don't have a piece of paper on the wall right there that says I'm Smith & Wesson M&P 15 certified. Do I know how to fix them? Certainly. But most law enforcement agencies have a policy that prohibits someone who doesn't have that piece of paper from working on the guns. These particular agencies do not have their own armor. I don't know why they don't. Maybe it's a funding issue, maybe it's a policy issue, but for the most part, most agencies have a policy that unless you have the piece of paper, can't touch the guns. So their only option is either to pull those guns out of service and just sort of just let them sit in the corner in a cage wherever they store them, or send them back to Smith & Wesson and hope that Smith & Wesson gets it fixed. And maybe they will. I'm not saying they're not capable of fixing their own products, but that's take a long time, and maybe they have a limited inventory of firearms to keep for patrol officers, whatever the purpose of those agency weapons are. Some people don't like law enforcement officers, and I get flack for that too because I will allow law enforcement to attend my classes. And they're like, well, good. I hope those cops don't have functioning guns. I have a different position on that. So one of these is an agency not too far from me. They're not my local department, but close enough to where if my kids are at a public gathering, a mall, movie theater, and some nut job comes in there and starts shooting up the place, and an officer may have to go get their AR from their vehicle and engage someone that's bad, trying to do some bad stuff. And I want that police officer that's going to go in and run in after my kids and maybe keep them safe to have a gun they can depend on. And there are situations where police officers failed to do that in Texas not too long ago. So I don't make blanket statements about people in any field. I don't think it's fair. I have numerous law enforcement friends. Many of them have taken my class, but most of the people that take my class are not law enforcement. Most of them are not military. But I have my doors open for just about everyone. And unless you're a dirty commie, you're welcome to my class. Sorry, not sorry, commies. But I would like to take the Smith & Wesson class. If they don't want to allow me due to, me airing my grievances about not being allowed to attend, it has nothing to do about being butthurt. I'm a proponent of education. Next year, here in School of the American Rifle, we have 3 solid weeks of training we're going to be offering here, and it's not even me. It's going to be numerous instructors and manufacturers that teach the technical side of the AR that are going to come here and teach other people. Why would I offer my space for other instructors? Because I believe so much in what I do, teaching people, sharing knowledge, that I want to bring other people in to share knowledge, and they can use my space to do so. So if you decide to reach out to Springfield Armory, Smith & Wesson, Ruger, LWRC, I would ask you to be polite, but share your disagreement with them. If you think that policy of not allowing, non-law enforcement, not military, to take their armorers courses is a bad policy, the more the merrier. I think it's a good thing to share that because it lets them realize that there's way more people that are interested in learning about their particular firearm, how to maintain it, how to service it, than they're probably willing to admit. And it's a good thing to have knowledge. As always, I hope you found this video educational. Thanks for watching.